All right, good job. Good morning, Fort Dix Elementary Learning Community. I'm Darvis Holly. Most of the parents and I know the staff and students know me, but I'd like to welcome you to our annual Veterans Day Assembly. I have the privilege of being the principal here, and I can't explain how grateful I am to work with such an involved and engaged group of students and families. And it shows. I see that we have a strong presence of servicemen and women here, as well as veterans, and I'm thankful for that. And today is about you, and we're going to honor you here at Fort Dix Elementary School. Before our program begins, we do have a few dignitaries in attendance with us today that I would like to acknowledge, starting off with one of our school board members for Pemberton Township Schools, Mr. Lionel Lee. We also have our superintendent of schools with us this morning, Mr. Jeffrey Havers. Thank you for joining. We also have one of our councilmen for Pemberton Township. You may know him as our computer tech, but he's also a councilman here in town, Mr. Donovan Gardner. We also have Senior Master Sergeant retired John Haynes with us. He's going to be our guest speaker. And a cool fun fact about Mr. Haynes is that he also had children that attended Fort Dix Elementary School in the past. And then lastly, in the back, we have a key element of putting this assembly together this morning. And we have Mrs. Angelica De Jesus, who is our school liaison officer. Oh, and I believe Nikki Nada, our other school liaison officer, joined us. If she's here? No. Okay. All right, so without further ado, we're going to get the program rolling. Our master of ceremonies today will be Mrs. Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. Holly. Thank you so much, parents, for coming out today. We have a very good turnout. Our students are very excited to perform for you today. It's so awesome to see everybody decked out in their red, white, and blue. We do need a minute to get set up for our first introduction here. We're going to need a little help from our first graders here before we bring out Pemberton Township High School's ROTC. So if you could just give us a second to get set up with that, we'll be getting started shortly. But while they're lining up for us, I'll let you know what's been going on here at Fort Dix Elementary School. We've been celebrating our veterans all week long, starting with Monday. Monday, we had our second annual flag parade. This is an event we love here at Fort Dix Elementary School. You were seeing live shots and you were seeing video taken from Monday's event. In this event, every single student in our school gets a flag to be placed. So if you did not notice the beautiful array of flags outside this morning when you came in, please take a look, take a moment to look around because it really is a beautiful sight and it's awesome and the kids love it too. So enjoy the beauty. So in addition to our flag parade on Monday, we've had our second, third, and fourth grade students creating Veterans Day cards. Thank you cards for our veterans. These cards are going to be gathered and collected, and they're going to be taken to the commissary to be distributed on Veterans Day just to say thank you. Just another way for us to say thank you as a whole from Fort Dix Elementary School. All right. Last but not least, I'm going to give a plug out for our social media accounts. If you're not following Fort Dix Elementary School on Facebook, Twitter, what else? Instagram. I'm a little old, I don't do Instagram. But please follow us on social media because Mr. Gardner does an excellent job of keeping the school community up to date on events and happenings here at Fort Dix Elementary School. So on Facebook, it's Fort Dix Elementary School, spelled out, no abbreviations. All right, right now, thank you for your patience. I would like to present Pemberton Township High School's ROTC to present colors. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you to Pemberton Township High School, ROTC, and our first graders who assisted in leading the flag salute this morning. Good job, guys.
Charlotte, keep going, Lovey. My first grade, my front friends, go. My front friends, keep walking.
Up next, we have Mrs. Hartner's pre-K class singing Grand Old Flag. Mrs. Hartner's class, that was incredible. Great job, guys. All right, Ms. Adams and Ms. Erickson's class is singing Veterans Day Poppies.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's all say thank you. We will all say thank you on this special day. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's all say thank you. We will all say thank you on Veterans Day.
You all fought so bravely to keep our country free. I'll wear a little poppy as red can be, to show that I remember those who fought for me. I will wear a red poppy.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's all say thank you. We will all say thank you on this special day. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's all say thank you. We will all say thank you on Veterans Day.
Thank you, Ms. Adams and Ms. Erickson. All right, performing next is Mrs. McBride's pre-K class singing This Land Is My Land.
This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I was walking a river highway, I saw a valley, and in the skyway, I saw below me a golden valley. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. I roamed and rambled, and I
Thank you very much, Mrs. McBride's class. All right, we're going to keep it moving. And up next, we have Mr. Lutz and Miss Winters, fourth graders, with the Veterans Day background.
When Francis Scott Key wrote the Star Spangled Banner almost 200 years ago, he called America the land of the free and home of the brave. Those words are as true as they were then.
Throughout this nation's history, America's soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guard have bravely answered the call to defend our freedom, to aid our friends and allies, and to turn back aggressors.
We can never fully repay our debt of gratitude to the more than 650,000 American service members who died in the battle or the 1.4 million who were wounded. We can, however, recognize and thank the 25 million veterans still living today.
The following words are inscribed on the Korean War Memorial in Washington, D.C. Our nation honors her sons and daughters who answered the call to defend a country they never knew and peoples they never met.
Those words apply equally to many of our World War I, World War II, Vietnam War, and Gulf War veterans as well. They apply to today's activity, service members, tomorrow's veterans, who are helping to maintain peace throughout the world.
Today is our privilege to say thank you to all of Americans' veterans, to let them know that we appreciate them and honor them for their sacrifices.
The price of freedom is high. We cannot afford to forget those willing to pay for it. Today we celebrate America's veterans for keeping this nation the land of the free and the home of the brave.
All right, while they're getting settled up on the stage, at Fort Dix Elementary School, we are recognized nationally for our commitment to character education. We instill the following principles in our students every day: service, perseverance, integrity, respect, responsibility. Coming up on the stage now are Mrs. King and Mrs. Schneider's second grade class, who are going to recite our character pledge that we recite every morning here at our school. Inspire me. All right, thank you, second grade. These core values are not only important to our students, but can guide our service men and women as well. I'm sure our following guest speaker can attest to that. Please welcome Senior Master Sergeant Retired John Haynes.
See if we can get away with it. Can I get away without a microphone, or can everybody hear me? No? Okay. I tried. Well, thank you for having me today. I really appreciate the opportunity to come and talk about my career and kind of what it meant to me. I'll try and keep it together as best I can. My two sons did go to school here years ago, so that was very exciting to be back here. I remember building gingerbread houses, I believe it was, or I don't know, 10, 15 years ago or something like that. But so my career, 23 years. I was in air transportation, which is a fun way of saying I loaded cargo and passengers on an aircraft. I joined the military the first time in 1994. Joined the Air Force. I think a few months out of high school, I went to college for a little bit, and I think a week before Thanksgiving, I decided to join. And then a few months later, I was in basic training. And then my first assignment wound up going to North Carolina, Pope Air Force Base in North Carolina. And I really enjoyed that assignment a lot. The Carolinas are a beautiful part of the country. Met a lot of good people there, and I still keep in touch with a few of them. And then from there, I decided to go to put in for an assignment and wound up going to Ramstein Air Base in Germany, which is an outstanding assignment. I loved every second of being in Germany. And we were very busy in the mid-'90s, dealing with a lot of issues in Europe at the time. And then I made a decision to separate from the Air Force for a little bit. And then a couple years later, I wanted to join the reserves. And at the time I was in reserves, I was in Washington State. And also enjoyed Washington State very much. And then I went to what's called Airman Leadership School, which is a way to prepare people for the next supervisory level in the military to be a non-commissioned officer. So I wound up going there and was inspired to try and get back active duty, which doesn't usually happen. But I was able to get back in. It took me about 8 or 9 months to get back active duty. So I got back active duty in 2003 after being in the reserves for 2 years. So in 01 I joined the reserves. In 03 I got back active duty, and became an NCO for the first time, which was a very rewarding experience, being just a worker bee airman to being actually in charge of others. So much larger responsibility that I really enjoyed a lot. So I went to Dover Air Force Base in Delaware from 2003 to 2007, and during that 4 years I deployed 3 times. The first time I went to Baghdad in 03, and that was a very interesting experience altogether right there. So enjoyed it, learned a lot, and then when I came back home, I think I was home for a little more than a year, and I went to, my next deployment was in a place called Manas Air Base, and that's in Kyrgyzstan, which borders Russia and China. And then wound up working with a lot of great people there. We had a lot of Guard and Reserve there as well as active duty, so it just kind of made the experience even more rewarding and more challenging in some ways too, but also more rewarding. And then the following year I deployed again back to Manas this time again, and had another rewarding experience there. But things changed from one year to the next there, but the experience was still very rewarding, and I learned quite a few things there as well. So when I got back from that, in January 07, I believe it was. And by the way, if you've never seen snowfall, they know how to handle snowfall in Kyrgyzstan, because that's some wicked snowfall. I'm from Michigan, so. So I got back from Manas, and I wanted putting in for an assignment to be an instructor, and I wanted to come in here to Fort Dix to be an instructor at the Expeditionary Center, which changed my career. I loved every second of it, and I got to meet a lot of wonderful people, a lot of professionals. So I kind of evolved from being just an operator in the Air Force to actually being a professional airman. So that really changed things for me. And then once I left the Expeditionary Center, I went to the 305th APS here on McGuire as well. And then they felt the need to deploy me once more. And this time I went to Bagram Air Base in Afghanistan. And I was there for 5 months, and I had the absolute pleasure of working for some outstanding leaders there, who also had a major impact on me and changed my career. So when I got back from Bagram in, January of 2014, I went back to the APS again, and then I wound up going to 1 year in Korea. And that took me a little while to get my feet going on that one, but that was also a very good assignment, a very beautiful part of the world, and a very rewarding experience as well. And then when I got back there, I came back here in McGuire once again, and then I went to a place called the Contingency Response Wing. So basically what that means is we open up airfields. So we're among the first on the ground for the Air Force. So a wonderful experience, very challenging, but also very wonderful experience as well. And then in 2020, I retired during a very difficult time, but we made it through it. And once I was done with that, I wound up going to a wonderful program called the Hiring Our Heroes program that we do here on the base. And then as a result of that, I wound up working for Amazon for 10 months, which they treated me very well, wonderful company. And then I had the opportunity to come back here on the base and work as a civilian now, as a manpower analyst, which I'm very much enjoying. I have an excellent boss, and it's another very rewarding experience. I get to work with just about every unit on the base. So very, very rewarding. Has its challenges, to be sure, but it's also very rewarding. So, and that's kind of where I'm at today. So I understand we have some questions.
We do. We thank you for taking the time to answer our questions. In the library class, I explained to the students we were having a special visitor, that our visitor was a veteran, and I had them create questions for you. So we're going to start with 5th grade. I'm going to come back here to Lauren. Lauren, what is your question?
How is the military different today than when you were in the military?
That's a very good question. It is quite different. One of the things I've noticed over the years, not just since I've retired, but the communication capabilities that we do. You know, when I came in, we were writing letters, 15-minute phone calls, but now we can talk via Skype and among other, what do we got, Teams now. So communication's changed an awful lot. Emails, that wasn't a thing when I was around the first go-around in the 90s, but communication's much more, I don't know, efficient. So it's just better. So.
Thank you. Next up, 4th grader, Leila. Leila, what is your question?
Was it upsetting to leave your family, and how did you feel to be back home?
She said, was it upsetting to leave your family, and how did it feel when you went back home?
Yes, it's always upsetting to leave your family, but when you come back home, you just try to spend as much time as you can with your family and get all that quality time back as best you can. So it's difficult for all of us, but it's such something we deal with. But thank you for your question.
Next up, from Mr. Lutz's class, we have Caitlin. Caitlin.
What was the toughest part of your job?
I think the toughest part of my job was also the most rewarding part of my job, which is getting to work with a lot of different people from all over the world, just to try and get the team to, you know, row in the same direction instead of going in different directions. It's very challenging, but also very rewarding. So that's a challenge pretty much any job you're probably ever going to do, but it's well worth every minute of your time to do it.
Next up, we have 3rd grader, Persinna Williams. Persinna, what is your question?
Was there something special you did for good luck, or did you have a good luck charm?
I didn't have any. I didn't really do anything for good luck. I just carried around pictures of my family.
Thank you. All right, Kyson. Oh, there you are. Kyson from Mrs. Colucci, 3rd grade class, has a question.
Do you keep in touch with the people you served with?
As often as I can. Some of the best people I know are I served with, so I still keep in touch with them.
All right, just a couple more. Elena. All right, coming down, Elena, from 2nd grade, Mrs. Schneider's class.
What did you do as a career after the military?
I did work for Amazon for 10 months and at a distribution center, and then now I'm currently working on the base as a manpower analyst, so for the last 11 months now.
One more from 2nd grade, Emmett.
About to read that.
No.
Did you make a close friendship while in the service?
Yes, I had a lot of close friends. Some of them I still keep in touch with from, what is this, 2022 now? 28 years ago when I first came in the first time. So they're some of the best people I know, and we will always keep in touch. So I visit when I can, and they visit when they can. But
All right, thank you very much. Senior Master Sergeant Retired John Haynes.
thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, military history runs deep on Joint Base McGuire Dick Lakehurst. We wanted to see how deep it runs in the family here at Fort Dix Elementary School. We reached out to our staff members and our students to have them send in pictures of the generations of their family members who are serving or who have served our great nation. Take a look at this video. I'd like to give a special thank you to Mr. Donovan Gardner for collecting the photos and putting the photos together. That was fabulous. Thank you, Mr. Gardner. While the photos were being sent in, we saw many, many wonderful things. And there was a special photo that caught our eye. So we're going to invite Luciana up onto the stage. Go ahead, Luciana. This photo of a family Bible was submitted, and it's in pretty good shape considering its age. So we thought we would let you have a look at it too, because Mr. Gardner and I thought it was fascinating. And here is Luciana Monteverde with her family's story.
Patrick McHenry served in the United States Army as an influencer member from 1944 1946, which was during World War II. He was ordered overseas to France in June 1944 with the 28th Infantry Division, where his company was met with difficult and dangerous combat. He returned back to the United States on January 8, 1946, and was released from the Army on January 10, 1946 at Fort Dix. This photo pictured above his Bible that he carried.
Thank you very much to Luciana's family for sharing fabulous pictures and Pop's Bible with us. It truly was remarkable to take a look at. Thank you for bearing with us. I know this is a long assembly, but we haven't had one for 2 years. So we had a lot of participation, whether it be something that is historically performed through the grades or whether the teachers volunteer. We really do appreciate all of our student participants. Thank you for hanging in there, and we are going to have a special treat at the end. All right, what a great looking group of kindergarten students. So performing See the Veteran and Way Up in the Sky are Miss Catalano, Miss Gianta, and Miss O'Grady's kindergarten classes. So great, kindergarten. Nice job. Okay, we're almost there. We're almost finished. But up next is Mrs. Donovan's third grade WIN students presenting a Veterans Day skit.
Veterans Day by the third graders. Let's take a peek in a class to see what they are learning in social studies. Class, this month is a special holiday in which we honor brave men and women. Do you know the name of this holiday?
Are you talking about Thanksgiving? They were brave when they traveled to a new country.
That is true that the pilgrims were brave. The group of people that I am talking about sometimes travel to other countries like the pilgrims. This group helps all of us every day by keeping our country safe.
Are you talking about policemen? They keep us safe.
Yes, policemen are brave and keep our city safe. This group keeps our country safe.
Are you talking about soldiers and sailors? They're brave and keep our country safe.
Yes, I am talking about men and women who are currently or in the past were a soldier or sailor. This group of people are called veterans.
Oh, you are talking about Veterans Day. My grandpa fought in a war. He is a veteran.
Yes, anyone that has served in the armed forces is a veteran. Do you know how many branches are in the U.S. military?
I think there are 5 branches. There's the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Space Force.
You forgot the Coast Guard. My aunt is the Coast Guard.
That is correct. There's 6 branches. What are some of the ways that people honor veterans on Veterans Day?
My family always goes to the Veterans Day parade. A parade is one way to honor soldiers and sailors.
Yes, that is one way. What is another way?
I go with my grandma and grandpa to the cemetery. We put flowers on my Uncle Rob's grave. He died in a war.
These are all great ways that your family can honor veterans. Our class is going to do something too. We are going to write letters and send them to soldiers and sailors who are serving overseas. I know they would love to get mail and be thanked for their service. What do you think?
Yeah, that sounds great.
The end.
Up next, we have 2 fifth graders. We have Brianna Parker and Quavante Glaze with Veterans Day poems.
On Veterans Day, we honor all who answer to a service call. Soldiers young and soldiers old fought for freedom, brave and bold. Some have lived while others died, and all of them deserve our pride. We're proud of all the soldiers who kept thinking of red, white, and blue. They fought for us in all our rights. They fought through many days and nights. And though we might not know each name, we thank all veterans just the same.
I am a veteran. You may not know me the first time we meet. I'm just another you see on the street. I am the reason you walk, breathe free. I am the reason for your liberty.
Up next, Ms. Ard's fifth graders with their Veterans Day skit.
Hey, did you bring your markers and paper?
Yes, I have everything we'll need for our pictures and drawings.
What are we going to draw?
Silly, you know we're here to research veterans and the Veterans Day holiday on November 11th.
How do I draw a veteran? I don't even know what it is.
A veteran is who, not a what. You better start by going to the dictionary and looking up the definition of a veteran.
What do you mean a veteran is a who?
Go look it up. We can use the definition of.
Is a veteran a person?
Go look it up in the dictionary.
All right, all right. Here it is. A veteran is a person who has served in the armed forces, an experienced soldier, especially one who served in time of war. And Veterans Day is a legal holiday in the United States honoring all veterans of the armed forces.
See, a veteran isn't a what? It's a person who died for our country. They're the ones that get flags put on their graves on holidays.
No. A veteran isn't always someone who died in a war or fought in a war at all.
He's right. Isn't a veteran a man who has served in the Army, Navy, Marines, Coast Guard, or Air Force?
Well, you're half right.
What do you mean I'm half right?
Well, women can be veterans too. Many women have served our country in times of peace and in times of war.
You mean a veteran doesn't have to have been in a war?
No, just having been in the armed forces makes a person a veteran.
Wow, veterans are really special people, aren't they? I mean, if a person is in the armed forces and we have a war, then they have to go, right?
No, not really. Veterans are people who have already served but are no longer in the armed forces of our country. My grandfather was a veteran. He was in the Korean War, and my Uncle Jake is a veteran too because he was in the Navy.
You know, veterans are really special people, and they deserve to be honored with a holiday.
There are a lot of patriotic songs that honor veterans in our country. Maybe we could include one in our project.
I think there's a songbook over there that has all the words to patriotic songs.
Great, let's pick one out that everybody can sing along with.
Veterans Day would be a good time to remember and to thank veterans for all they have done for us and for our country.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Let's hear it for the 5th grade. Fantastic job, 5th grade. All right, we are going to close with Mr. Holly's favorite veteran. Yesterday at Fort Dix Elementary School, we had a visitor stop by. We had Mr. Holly's father, Mr. Edison Holly, stop by, visit the classrooms, and to talk about his military experience. Take a look at this.
Hi, I'm Brianna. And hi, I'm Abby. Today we are interviewing Mr. Holly, who is a veteran. Mr. Holly, how about you give us a brief overlook of your past life?
Certainly. My name is Edison Holly. I was drafted into the United States Army in 1971. I went through basic training at Fort Jackson in Columbia, South Carolina. I went through the basic training, which is about 9 weeks, and after I completed basic training, I attended AIT, Advanced Individual Training, specializing in personnel. After that, I attended 2 weeks of leadership school, and from there, I was sent to Vietnam. Prior to going to Vietnam, I had 2 weeks vacation. As I said earlier, I went home. My mother had taken ill, and the day I came home from Fort Jackson, she had passed, and that was a difficult time. So after her funeral, I guess it was about a week later, I went to Vietnam. That was pretty much it.
Okay. How is the military different today than when you were in the military?
The difference, I would say, is that when I went in the military, I was drafted. Today, the military, you have to volunteer. It's a volunteer army. And I would say it's much smaller military than in the past in terms of numbers of service people serving in the United States Army. I think every year is shrinking, so, but that's pretty much, I would say, the difference, the two major differences.
Thank you. Was it upsetting to leave your family, and how did you feel to be back home?
Yes, it was when I left. Like I said, my mother didn't necessarily want me to go, but I was drafted and I had to go. But she took it very difficult, and because she took it very hard, I took it hard to some degree too, I would say. But after that, I got through the basic training, went to Vietnam. I came home, and it was sort of I was happy to be back home, to say the least.
Thank you. What was the toughest part of your job?
I would say basic training was the toughest part of my career. Going through 8 weeks of vigorous training, both mentally and physically, was challenging and tough. So I would say that was the most difficult part of it.
Thank you. Was there something special you did for good luck, or did you have a good luck charm?
No, not in particular. I basically relied on my faith and my religion to get me through it.
Okay. Do you keep in touch with the people you served with?
Yes, a couple of my buddies that I served with in Vietnam, I keep in touch with them.
That's good.
Yeah.
What did you do as a career after the military?
After the career, like I said, I attended the Elizabeth City State University. I got my bachelor's degree in social service. I wanted to help others. I was employed with the state of New Jersey under the Division of Developmental Disabilities. I worked at Johnstone Training and Research Center in Bordentown, New Jersey. The population I worked with back then, I think it was around 77, 78, 77, around 78. They were, part delinquent. Some of them were delinquent, and the others had some form of disability. And from there, when Johnstone closed, I think in '93, I went to New Lisbon Developmental Center, and I worked as a unit manager there. I was in charge of 2 different cottages, and basically I served the individual with developmental disabilities, which was very rewarding to me. I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
And I retired, of course, in 2007.
Did you make any close friendships while in service?
Yes. Mm-hmm. A couple of my buddies I'm still in touch with that I served with in Vietnam, as I said a little earlier. So,
what does being a veteran mean to you?
It means that you put service before yourself to protect and defend this great nation of ours. And it's like a family. It's like you have goals to work on. You have values that you have to live by. Honor and service is very important. It means a lot to me.
Thank you for sharing a little bit of your life service with us.
Thank you. Both.
And thank you for being in the service.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, last thing. We have a special treat for you today. In social media, it's really popular to recreate old photos. And Mr. Holly shared a photo with us of when Mr. Holly was in first grade. Mr. Holly's father came to his first grade class and was a guest reader. And there was a picture taken that day. And Mr. Holly shared that photo with us. So yesterday, while Mr. Holly's father was here, we couldn't let the opportunity to go by to update that photo. So here is a photo of Mr. Holly with his father some 30 years later.
So I did the math yesterday. That's 31 years later to be exact. But to close us out, this Veterans Day has been special to me for obvious reasons. My father had a chance to come in and visit the building, and obviously he's a veteran, and I'm thankful for him. And thankful for all of our parents here in attendance today, just like my father took the time out of his day to visit me when I was in first grade, and that's obviously a memory that has stuck with me. You've done the same thing today to be present, to be an active member of our learning community and support our students here. So I'm extremely grateful for that and the support that the parents have given me here. So boys and girls, at this time, since we have our servicemen and women here and our veterans, I want you to give our families a round of applause, boys and girls. So we thank you for your service. We thank you for your commitment to your families and your children here at Fort Dix Elementary School. And before we wrap up, I just want to once again thank Mr. Lionel Lee, our school board member in attendance. Mr. Jeffrey Havers, our superintendent of schools for Pemberton Township. And then Master Sergeant Haynes for being our guest speaker. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank Mrs. Donovan for facilitating, Mr. Gardner for facilitating, and all of our staff members here who have spent hours working with our students, getting them prepared today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Happy Veterans Day to all, and thank you for coming out this morning.